Good afternoon. This is Kim Soo-hyun and Yoo Joo-yeon. We are going to present the paper called Subject Pool Effects in a Corruption Experiment, a comparison of Indonesian public servants and Indonesian students. And I'm Soo-hyun Kim. This is the table content of our presentation. From 1. Let me briefly talk about the conclusion first. The subject pool of Indonesian public servants have more resistance to corruption than the Indonesian students. The paper says the results are depending on the subject pools which have experienced different life environments through preceding series of experiments. Plus, people who suffer from poverty and earn low salaries resist corruption more intensively, and people who have more direct experience to corruption avoid the corruption since they are aware of its huge cost. As the outcome heavily relies on the subject pool, there are two options for designing the experiments. The first is conducting the research on the relevant subject pool, or the second is on several different subject types. This experiment consists of 3 persons, and it is sequential move game and one-shot game. At the beginning, the firm has 60 experiment dollars. Government has $30 and citizens have $80. At first, the firm has to make decision whether to offer a bribe to the government official, and also has to choose how much to offer from 4 to 8 experiment dollars. If the firm offers bribe to government official, it has to pay $2 regardless of the acceptance of the bribe. So, in step 1, it is the sequential game of firm and government official. This is step 2. The government official can accept or reject the bribe. If government official accepts the bribe, it increases the payoffs by 3B for the firm and the government official itself, but reduces the payoff for the citizens by 7B. The reason why the firm's benefits increase is that it takes advantage of avoiding regulations. On the other hand, the citizens' payoffs decreases by 7B because of the bribe makes bad impacts on the society. So, in step 2, government officials decide whether to accept it or not. And if they accept it, firm and governments get benefits as 3B and citizens' benefits decrease by 7B. In step 3, citizens have to choose whether to punish government official and firm. And at this point, if the government official accepts the bribe, the citizens can choose whether to punish or not. If the citizens choose to punish the firm and the government officials, it costs minus 3P to firm and the government official. And also, citizens have to pay the amount of P for the punishment. So, if citizens decide to punish, all of the rule has bad impacts. So, this is the result of the sequential one-shot game. This is the payoff after one-shot game with firm and government and citizens. As you can see in here, at first firm has $60 and government official has $30 and citizens have $80. At step 1, if firm decide to offer bribe to government official, they have to pay $2. After that, if the government official accept bribe, firm and government official gets plus 3B. However, citizens lose 7B. Finally, if citizens choose to punish firm and government official who has corrupted, firm and government official lose 3P and citizens will lose P. This is the total result of the experiment in this article. From now on, my partner Yoo Joo-yeon will have a presentation from the procedure of the experiment. Thank you.
Let me clarify the procedure of the experiment. First, firm chooses whether to offer the bribe to a government official, and the government official can choose whether to accept it or not. At this point, if the bribe offer is accepted, it gives positive payoff to both firm and government official, but negative payoff to citizen. If the government official chose to accept the bribe, the citizen can punish the bribe back or just overlook it. Punishment requires cost to every player, including citizen, but deprive more payoffs on firm and government official than the citizen. Every participant can do only one game and only play one role. We are assuming one-shot game, which is this procedure I mentioned only happens once per game. Since this is not a repeated game, punishment gives no economic benefits to the citizen. Expectation about future gains doesn't exist, so it can reveal the tolerance well. Now see the results of the experiment. Comparing students group and public servants group, and both groups were in the role of firm, the difference is significantly large. 78% of students chose offering the bribe to government officials, while only 47% of public servants did. Also, there was a big difference in the average amount of bribe they have offered. Students offered 7.3 bribes on average, while 6.7 for public servants. As you see in Figure 2, public servants group has about twice larger percentage on the amount of zero bribe compared to students group. And from 1 to 3 amount, nobody offers the bribe, and start from 4, as the amount is increasing, students offer more and more. Next, let's compare two groups who are in the same role of government official. Just as the result of previous case, students are more likely to engage in the bribery act. 79% of students who played a government official accepted the bribe. On the other hand, only 30.4% of public servants responded they would accept it. As you can see in Figure 3, the acceptance rates of the student group is rated approximately 80%, while the public servants group is 30%. This is almost 3 times higher acceptance rates than public servants group. This is statistically significant result with very low p-value. Lastly, the test result shows that 59% of students who play citizen said they would punish the bribe, while 71% of public servants did. But we had only a small number of observations in the sample of public servants because most of public servants didn't accept the bribe, so this result is not statistically significant. Figure 4 describes how the subjects will punish the bribe act depending on the punishment amount. Punishment amount is the cost of citizen to punish the bribe, so it reduces the citizen's payoff. When there's no cost, both students and public servants groups showed high rates of the punishment behavior. If the cost is equal to 5, only 15% of public servants chose to punish, and if the punishment amount is 7, 8, or 10, only student groups chose to punish. To sum up the results, public servants are less likely to offer and accept a bribe. We already see this result in previous slides. And even if they accept a bribe, the amount of the bribe was smaller than students have accepted. The interesting point is that in case of the public servants, the acceptance level is not affected by the amount of the bribe. However, the acceptance level of students was affected, which means if the amount of the bribe was larger, students accepted more frequently. The differences in behavior between two subject groups are driven by their real-life experience. In case of public servants, they directly or indirectly experience how the bribe impacts negatively on social or themselves. But on the other hand, students have less likely to encounter those experiences than public servants. So students are more representative of the general population, while public servants are an important part of the corruption problem. We can predict that this made the differences between the subject groups. In addition, the real-life experiences associated with the bribe act can be explained in the recent institutional changes in Indonesia, which means as this study is comparing Indonesian students group and public servants group, the situation of Indonesia can't be ignored. Indonesia wasn't that democratic under the past government. However, the advent of democracy and free press have allowed public criticism. Because of that, Indonesian public servants may have less likely to engage in corruption. All of the discussions of the negative impact of corruption on economic growth may have led them to pose negative positions about corrupt activities. Thank you.